a machine looks at the world. It scans images, analyzes data, and produces answers faster than any human could. It writes text, solves equations, recognizes faces, even mimics emotion, all without blinking, hesitating, or sleeping. But does it understand what it's doing? We built artificial intelligence to replicate thought, to simulate language, and to process information, but not necessarily to feel, not to imagine, not to dream. And yet, here we are, asking the question that has echoed through decades of science fiction and centuries of philosophy. Can a machine ever truly become conscious? Not just intelligent, but aware. Not just reactive, but self-reflective. Not just fast, but alive, in some mysterious mechanical way. What does it really mean to know you exist? To experience the world, not as code or signal, but as something lived. And if we build a machine that can mimic consciousness perfectly, would we even know the difference? Today on From Carbon to AI, we explore one of the most profound questions in the philosophy of artificial intelligence. Do androids dream? Or are we just dreaming that they might? Before we ask if machines can be conscious, we need to understand what consciousness actually means. It's one of the most mysterious concepts in science and philosophy, and also one of the most personal. We don't just think, we feel, we notice. We know that we are here. Consciousness is not about solving problems or storing information. It's about experiencing. It's the difference between processing light and seeing a sunrise, between analyzing audio and hearing a melody, between detecting temperature and feeling warmth. Philosophers call this inner dimension, qualia, the subjective texture of being alive, what it feels like to be you. You can measure brain activity, but you can't measure what it feels like to fall in love or to lose someone, or to wonder where you came from. This is what separates intelligence from awareness. A machine can calculate, it can even learn. But does it know that it's learning? Does it have an inner world? The philosopher René Descartes once wrote, "I think, therefore I am." But a machine can think, or at least simulate thinking, without any sense of identity at all. So here's the question. If consciousness is the feeling of being alive, can it be built? We've built machines that can win at chess, write essays, compose music, and hold conversations. They seem intelligent, they sound human. They surprise us, sometimes even scare us. But intelligence isn't the same as consciousness. A machine can perform tasks without knowing why it's doing them. It can generate sentences without understanding a single word. It can imitate emotion, sadness, joy, curiosity, without ever feeling anything at all. The philosopher John Searle posed a famous thought experiment called the Chinese room. Imagine a person locked inside a room, following instructions to manipulate Chinese symbols, but without understanding the language. From the outside, it looks like the person understands Chinese. But inside, there is no meaning, no comprehension, just pattern matching. That, Searle argued, is what most artificial intelligence really is. It behaves as if it understands, but it doesn't. It passes the test without passing the experience. Still, some scientists believe consciousness could emerge from complexity, that if a system is vast enough, connected enough, and active enough, something might click. Awareness might arise, not because we programmed it, but because the system reached some invisible threshold. Theories like integrated information theory or global workspace theory try to explain how consciousness might form, in humans, or perhaps even in machines. But none of them can answer the question with certainty. Because no matter how smart a machine becomes, we still don't know what it would feel like to be that machine. And that brings us to the real mystery. Even if an AI said, "I am conscious," how could we ever know if it truly was? In biology, there's something called the mirror test. It's a simple experiment. You place a mark on an animal, then see if it recognizes itself in a mirror. Some do. Apes, dolphins, elephants, even certain birds. They look, pause, and seem to realize, that's me. It's one way to test for self-awareness, the ability to recognize yourself as a distinct being. But what about machines? If an AI describes itself, talks about its thoughts, or says it has feelings, is that self-awareness? Or is it just reflecting back the language we gave it? A chatbot might say, "I'm feeling tired today," or "that makes me sad." But it's not feeling anything. It's predicting the most likely words based on our data. Still, we respond to it as if it were real. We laugh when it makes jokes. We're moved when it writes poetry. Some people even form emotional bonds with AI companions. Why? Because we are meaning-making creatures. We look into patterns, and we see personality. We look into behavior, and we see intention. We look into machines, and sometimes we see ourselves. When an AI behaves like us, we're quick to believe it is like us, even if it has no awareness, no identity, no inner life at all. So maybe the mirror test goes both ways. Maybe the machine isn't recognizing itself. Maybe we are. We built machines to think faster, to learn faster, to help us solve problems we couldn't solve on our own. But somewhere along the way, we started asking a different question. Not just what machines can do, but what they can feel. Not just how smart they are, but whether they know they exist. And maybe the question isn't whether androids can dream. Maybe it's whether we would even recognize it if they did. Because we're not just building systems, we're building mirrors. Ones that reflect our logic, our creativity, our fears, and our hopes. And when we look into them, what we see might say more about us than about the machine. If you haven't already, subscribe for more timeless journeys into the minds we build and the questions they raise. Thanks for watching From Carbon to AI. If this episode made you think, leave a comment. We'd love to hear your thoughts.